What's good, Fight Family? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about Paddy Pimblett taking on the UFC's lightweight rankings, more specifically the top 10. He's already broken into the top 15. I don't really feel the need to break him down against, the bottom 15 fighters, although he does stylistically match up really kind of bad against somebody like Dan Hooker and Benoit Saint Denis, I feel like. But I'd rather, honestly just look at him in the top 10 because he's already made it this far. I didn't expect that to begin with. Top 10 is something I've never been able to imagine him breaching. So let's just look at it objectively right now and see how he does in this top 10. So I'm going to start off with the number 10 ranked fighter at lightweight, Renato Moicano. Exactly the guy he called out. It's probably why he called him out, because he wanted to slowly creep into the top 10, I would imagine. Renato Moicano, 19-5, coming off of how many wins now? He's coming off of at least more than 3, because it's been against Riddell, Dober, and Turner, all solid wins. All wins that I think he was the underdog in as well, which is pretty fucking cool. He's always cashing me in, Renato. Renato versus Paddy, though, stylistically, let's talk about it. I think on the ground, people would be surprised at how good Renato is. I think he has way better control than Paddy Pimblett. Where I think Paddy is just obviously much better is his scrambles, his ability to shift his hips and throw up things. I haven't been able to see too many people in the lightweight division that are that flexible. It's kind of freakish. Like, he moves like a fucking little kid. It's wild. But it's super effective. He's been able to submit people like, I don't even remember his name anymore. Jordan something. That guy that had a little bit of hype around him, the Monkey King. He was able to submit him in a just pure grapple war. But then again, he didn't look so good in a fight against somebody like Jared Gordon. He couldn't get any takedowns, couldn't really do anything in the clinch. I do think this is just stylistically a different matchup. I think if anybody is going to be securing takedowns, it's probably going to be Moicano, because he's going to trust his grappling ability. On the feet, Moicano should be the more technical striker, but I have a weird feeling Paddy would be able to land. I think Paddy would be able to find those hooks. I just think that realistically, Moicano has more ways to win the fight than Paddy does. Because I can't see Paddy completely just flatlining Moicano. The only time I've ever seen him really get dropped bad was against Rafael Fiziev, and even then I felt like that fight might have been stopped a little bit premature because he didn't get put out cold, and that's against somebody like Fiziev who hits way better and way more technically than somebody like Paddy. On paper, I think this is maybe one of the closest fights that you can give him in the top 10. I would lean 55% Renato Moicano. I think he gets it done maybe 5.5 times, 6 times out of 10. Hot take, perhaps. Paddy Pimblett is pretty good. There's a lot of mysteries with him still. There's less of them with Moicano, and I feel like he'd just be able to capitalize in both on the feet, in the clinch, and on the ground. Moving on to number 9, and this is probably the worst fight he could take. Max Holloway. Yeah, no, buddy. I'm just going to be real. Max Holloway is probably the worst matchup for Paddy Pimblett ever. I don't see Paddy getting Max to the ground. I don't see Paddy bullying Max on the feet at all. Quite the opposite. I think he'll try to give him his best shots and then really quickly start to fold to the pressure, try to start taking him down. It won't work. Max will just start melting you. I'm not even going to talk about this one too long because I feel strongly that Max Holloway would obliterate Paddy Pimblett. It's almost the worst matchup on here for him stylistically. I don't think it's quite the worst, but it's damn near. So we can just move quickly from that one into one that actually we do have a little bit to talk about. Rafael Fiziev is the number 8 ranked lightweight currently right now in the world, sitting at 12-3, and he's coming off of that injury to Mateusz Gamrot. How long ago was that fight now? That fight was September 23rd, 2023. So it's been almost a year now. Hopefully we see this guy fight again soon, because I love Fiziev. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. He just has such a cool personality. He's goofy, and he loves violence, Honestly, what more could you ask for out of a guy like this? Beautiful striker. He will find so many shots on Paddy Pimblett. Now, where I feel like Paddy could actually do something is in the wrestling. Fiziev has amazing counter wrestling, amazing takedown defense. He trains with people like Peter Yan, who are masters at takedown defense. And this guy's an athletic, twitchy, fast twitch specimen. So, of course, he's going to have success in that. But I think Paddy is good at making it a gritty grappling match. And when it gets like that, I don't think Fiziev's jiu-jitsu is going to be able to hold up against Paddy Pimblett. I do still think that Fiziev is just so many levels above Paddy on the feet that it's going to be hard for Paddy to do jack to him on the feet unless he makes it a dogfight and really puts pressure on Fiziev. A pressure that he's never felt before is what he would have to do, in my opinion. I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to give Paddy Pimblett 3 wins in this. I think 3 out of 10 times Paddy Pimblett can get this fight done. But realistically, this is another matchup where I feel like, it's just bad for him. Fiziev will melt him on the feet. there's no world where I see Fiziev getting hurt or dropped or knocked out or anything on the feet against Paddy. I don't even think it's going to be a threat. And I think you need to have some sort of a threat on the feet to get your respect against Rafael Fiziev. Because if you don't, he's just going to march you down and obliterate you. And in the third round, you could argue maybe like, oh, if he makes it to the third round, maybe Paddy can start to drown him out. But dude, look how Paddy looked against somebody like Tony Ferguson in the third round. He was getting landed on even with left hooks, clean check hooks and straight hands by Tony Ferguson. Bro, that just cannot be happening if you're going to take on somebody like Fiziev. So I will say Paddy's 0-3 so far in the lightweight rankings. I think he loses to number 10, number 9, number 8. And now we talk about number 7, Beneil Dariush. Now, this is one where I actually think Paddy Pimblett can win because Beneil got absolutely smoked by Tsarukyan, and it made me instantly age him in my mind. I was the biggest Dariush fan. You know, not the biggest fan, but I really do fuck with Dariush. I was backing him. I picked him against Charles Oliveira. You know, you guys saw how that went. Obviously, I didn't trust him against Tsarukyan. I thought he was gonna get knocked out exactly how he did. And once it happened, it really just made me feel like, man, maybe it's your time out of here, Beneil. I don't remember if he has a fight, you know, scheduled or lined up. I would hope he does because he's too old to, you know, be taking too much time off. If he took on somebody like Paddy Pimblett, maybe Beneil 2 years ago, I would pick Beneil all day. But I think Paddy Pimblett will actually be able to crack him on the feet. I think on the ground, Paddy will be decent, really. Like, I think people would be surprised. I think Beneil Dariush ultimately is better at scrambling and has so much more experience in the game that he will find ways to win those scrambles against Paddy. But again, I would not be surprised if Paddy would pull that off because he's honestly surprised me multiple times in his grappling. So I would trust Paddy Pimblett. Finally, I would trust Paddy Pimblett to win this one a majority of the time. I think 6.5 times, 7 times out of 10, Paddy Pimblett gets this fight done. Beneil is just a little bit too old. On the feet, though, Beneil could have success. I just think we've never seen Paddy even get dropped or like really rocked from any of the shit that he's taken on the feet. He gets cracked big, but he doesn't really, you know, he doesn't fold to it. So I don't think Beneil has it. I will finally give Paddy Pimblett a win. He's 1-3 so far against the top 10. And now let's talk about what I think is stylistically the worst matchup for him at all at lightweight. Michael Chandler, number 6 in the division. Bro, Michael has bombs in his hands. He's explosive. His counter wrestling is solid. Paddy isn't going to be, you know, taking him down. At least not earlier. Honestly, probably at all. At all, probably. I think this is just the worst matchup for him. Even though Michael Chandler has horrible fight IQ, you know, he would literally be a top 5 fighter of all time if he just had some brains to back up all that brawn. But because he has so much brawn and he has some years in the game, you know, what is Paddy realistically going to do to him? I don't think that he's going to choke him out like Dustin because it took Dustin having to go through the fire to get to that point. I think if Paddy tries to go to the fire with Michael Chandler, it's going to be bad. You know, he hits so much harder. It's actually ridiculous. And he's so explosive and fast. I think Michael Chandler wins this fight 8.5, 9 times out of 10. I'm trying not to give halves as much as I can, but sometimes I just feel like it fits. And this is one of those times. Majority of the time, though, yeah, I just think it would be a miracle for Paddy Pimblett to get this one done. If you guys see it differently, please let me know. Like, expand my horizons because I don't see how he can get this one done in any way, shape, or form. I just can't envision any possibility. And I'm trying to be like Doctor Strange right now and like look through the fucking multiverse. I'm seeing nothing, bro. So yeah, I gotta say he loses that one. Moving down to the number 5 ranked guy, Mateusz Gamrot. And now this is actually what I think is stylistically his favorite matchup in all of lightweight. I was even saying in my recent video about him fighting Bobby Green, I was saying if he gets past him, you should try to look to fight somebody like Mateusz. Don't fight Hanato. Try to fight somebody like Mateusz Gamrot, who's just going to try to wrestle you. He's not really a fighter, man. He's a wrestler. He reminds me a lot of Makaev in that sense, although he's a bit more respectable than Makaev. But yeah, bro, on the feet, I think Paddy Pimblett actually has it for him. And on the ground, I think Paddy can catch him in something because Mateusz is going to be spamming those takedowns. He's going to think that he's going to dominantly win all the scrambles. I could see him getting caught in something that he doesn't expect. And Paddy, you know, once he latches that up, jumping on it. Training, you know, making it his game plan to latch something up when he shoots a takedown. I've been seeing this in my brain every time I envision this fight for weeks now. I think Paddy Pimblett smokes Mateusz Gamrot, and I'm pretty high on Gamrot, you know? Like, I even think that he didn't necessarily lose that fight against Garam. I haven't watched it since, but I didn't think he lost that fight live. So realistically, I only really think he should have maybe lost to Jalen Turner, and then obviously he has that loss to Beneil Dariush. Other than that, he's looked pretty fucking solid throughout his whole career. Even with somebody that the likes of Khabib was warning Islam about, on his run. Like, watch out for this guy. You're probably going to have to defend against this guy. He's got solid grappling, but he just doesn't have the hands to back it up for the most part. He has good kickboxing, but I think Paddy, honestly smokes him on the feet. I think he's much better on the feet. Paddy will still get tagged, don't get me wrong, but Paddy has shown to have a better chin, and he has more dog in him, and Paddy actually seems like a fighter. So I would trust Paddy Pimblett to beat Mateus Gamrot, and now he would break into the top 5. Now we got Dustin Poirier, number 4. Bad matchup for Paddy Pimblett, let's be real. Dustin still has it in him too. I think this would be a fun fight, especially if Dustin wanted to get paid. If Paddy can win one more and deserve a top 5 fight, bro, give it to Dustin. Dustin wants a fun fight. He'll get a lot of eyes on that one. He probably would smoke Paddy Pimblett. Although I will say, I give Paddy more of a chance in this fight because Paddy can find a way to that back. Paddy can find a way to exploit the same weakness that Dustin's had exploited by everybody he fights in big fights and loses to. But obviously, to that same token, Dustin Poirier can exploit that horrible hands in the air, chin in the air, hands up defense. Hands not up, chin in the air defense that Paddy Pimblett has. God, I'm having a fucking stroke today. I think he can exploit that quite easily. But you know what? There are certain scenarios where I see Paddy Pimblett chasing a takedown or eating a shot and trading with Dustin and maybe catching Dustin off guard for a second and, finding a way to take the back or just something. Something. I can see Paddy mixing it up, but I do think it's less likely. I give Dustin probably 6-7 times out of 10 he beats Paddy quite soundly. I still think this guy has got it, even though he's old and he's been around forever. Then we have Justin Gaethje. I actually think Paddy Pimblett has a better chance against Justin Gaethje because Justin Gaethje has atrocious defense when it comes to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He really just tries to scramble his way out of everything, give his back up, just try to get right back to his feet. On the feet, Justin, before fighting Max Holloway, I would have said he will obliterate Paddy. Now, I feel like Paddy might be able to work a game plan that can get Justin to exploit his weaknesses, if that makes sense. I could see Justin finding ways to lose this fight, because it really is his fight to lose. He should win on paper 7-8 times out of 10. To some of you guys, probably 9-10 times out of 10. But I would actually say it's closer to a pick'em. I would say Paddy Pimblett would lose this fight he probably wins this fight 3.5 times. That's about it. Maybe 4 if I really want to give him benefit of the doubt. But Justin Gaethje's hands are just lethal. His leg kicks are insane. He has a hell of a chin. I don't think Paddy would be able to put him out, but who knows after Max just did that. You never know what a guy's chin is like after they get chinned for the first time in their whole career. But yeah, I think this is a hella fun matchup. Honestly, all of these top 10 matchups have been really fun to think about against Paddy Pimblett. Now we break into the top 2 guys. We've got our number 1 ranked guy. Wait 1 damn second. Where is Charles Oliveira? Did I forget to grab him? Oh, no. This is where we'd be talking about Charles Oliveira. I was about to jump right to Arman Tsarukyan. Charles Oliveira versus Paddy Pimblett. I mean, if Paddy can, hold him down and control him like Arman, I could see a path to victory. But on the feet, no, man, even on the feet, just because Oliveira sometimes doesn't look as lethal as he does against other fighters. Like Arman, he didn't look that on the fucking trigger, if that makes sense. He just kind of seemed a little more timid on the feet. I could see him being like that against Paddy. I could see Paddy even dropping him with that left hook because Paddy does crack, and Oliveira shows to get dropped in most of his fights. I think Oliveira is more lethal on the ground, although I think it's closer than some people would think. Paddy is really fucking good on the ground. You have to give him that credit. Charles Oliveira is just that step above. He's S tier, where Paddy is A+, breaking into S tier. On the feet, if he is wired, Charles Oliveira smokes Paddy Pimblett. I can't even try to give Paddy anything here because Oliveira, when he's on one, should smoke everybody in the division, I feel like. Realistically, I want to give Charles Oliveira 8 wins in this, but because of his falters in his career, I would say he wins this 6 times out of 10, and I'll give Paddy 4. I think Paddy actually matches up quite well against these guys that have been in the top 5 for a while. Now, this is where I think he matches up bad. Arman Tsarukyan and Islam Makhachev. We'll talk about Arman first because he's not the champion. Arman Tsarukyan is a dog. He has enough grappling and wrestling to be able to neutralize Paddy Pimblett's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He has the hands. He has the power. He has good kickboxing. He has a good chin. I think Paddy Pimblett loses this one 8 times out of 10. I think if I'm generous, he wins this fight 2 times out of 10. He could find ways to exploit certain things in Arman's game, but there's not too much to exploit, man. You have to be a heavy grappler like Islam that can just spam, get him to the ground and win some of these 50-50s and keep him there. Or you have to be somebody like Yeah, no, that's it. He's only lost to fucking Islam and Gamrot, and that's how they beat him. They just did that. I don't even remember his other loss. It was probably some regional shit. So, you know, Paddy just doesn't have that in his game. I think that he's going to be getting taken down a lot, pushed up against the cage, bullied, out-wrestled, out-grappled 9 times out of 10. Maybe Armin is the real style nightmare, you know? Maybe it's not Michael Chandler. I would say Armin 9 times out of 10 just beats the brakes off Paddy Pimblett. Now let's talk about the champion, the guy that runs this fucking division, the guy that has really separated himself from everybody. I still want to see him fight one more guy that's in the top, like an Armin or a Gamrot, just one more fresh body that's not somebody that we've seen forever, like Charles, Poirier, or a featherweight. I want to see one more, but I do trust Islam. I do think he's the guy. I think he will be the guy for a really long time. Him beating Volk the way he did the second time impressed the hell out of me, because I did think Volk won that first fight watching it live. And regardless of what you think about it, because I know people are going to cry about that in the comments now that you just heard it, regardless of what you think about it, Volk should not have made that fight that close, coming up in weight, being as small as he was. Islam didn't expect him to. I know damn well none of y'all expected him to, unless you predicted Volk. So get off my dick with that. But you know what? He showed himself. He showed out. And then against Dustin, he showed so much heart. He showed he's a fighter's fighter. I think he beats the fuck out of Paddy. But I do think, even against somebody like Paddy against Armin, I think Paddy has better chances against Islam slightly. Islam Makhachev, I think, could submit Paddy Pimblett, which is crazy because I don't think many people can do that. I don't even know if I would trust Charles to submit Paddy. But Islam Makhachev is that strong. He has that type of grappling pressure. He's just that kind of an athlete. And on the feet, he's looking better and better and better. His striking defense is underrated. It might be the best part of his game outside of his grappling. But it's that offensive grappling, dude. Like, when he gets you there, he's trying to chase submissions, and he can get submissions in places that most people can't. Like that mounted arm triangle where he just starts to push a little bit of that shoulder pressure in, and he gets you fucked up instantly. Yeah, that's crazy, and I don't think Paddy can do anything about that, realistically. He's not stronger than him. He does not have better grappling. He might have better just pure jiu-jitsu, but I only think he would slightly have better jiu-jitsu than Islam, if at all. And on the feet, Paddy is, I think he's worse. So Islam Makhachev, I would say, you know what, fuck that. I think Islam does beat him 9 times out of 10. I'll give Paddy one time out of 10 that he can do that. Let me know what you guys thought down below about all of these picks, and how you think these fights would go. Do you think I got anything horribly wrong? Do you agree with what I thought? Let me know. I'm not going to take much more of your time. I'll catch y'all.